Hi everybody, this is Mrs. True. Sorry I'm not here today. I'm at jury duty. I'd rather be here. But nonetheless, we are going to learn about tides today. The tide on the beach and why it is that we have them. So if you will please turn to page 40 in your packet, 4040. Pause the video if you need time to get there. You're going to need a pencil. And then if you like your illustrations to be colored, you can grab some colored pencils or crayons, or ask a friend if they have a different colored pen, and we will get started. First of all, every single day we have high tide and low tide. Okay? We're going to start on the left side on the top where it says high tides. So underline high tides. They happen twice a day because the earth rotates on its axis every 24 hours. We already know this, that the earth is rotating on its axis all the time. Okay? You are going to draw yourself a little picture of a high tide. So we're going to have a beach like this, some sand on it, and then we are going to have some water all the way at the top of the bank of the beach. Okay? And this is high tide. Okay? Now you're going to move all the way over to the right top side of your paper where it says low tides. Low tides happen twice a day, exactly the same as high tides, because the earth rotates on its axis every 24 hours. So you are going to draw that same beach, roughly. I'm not an incredible artist. Some of you are much better. Same beach, but this time we are going to draw it at low tide. See how the water level is very low going up the side of the beach. And then we're going to write low tide here. Okay? So you got high tide with the water very high on the beach, low tide with the water very low. The side of the earth that faces the moon and the opposite side will experience a high tide due to the gravitational pull of the moon. Okay, we're going to try to draw this in 2 dimensions, but you got to try to think of it in 3 dimensions. So you've got a sun shining, and then you've got your earth over here, not to scale, which is okay. Alright? And then we're going to draw our moon right about here. Okay? The moon can only be in one place at any given time. Okay? So I'm going to make our earth blue because we think of it as the water planet, so it's kind of blue. Okay? I'm going to make our moon purple. Okay? And then I need you to think about being a person on the surface of the earth. So whenever you are a person on the surface of the earth right here, directly in line with the moon, or right here, completely opposite of the moon, you are going to be experiencing high tide. If, however, you are a person standing here or here, remember that it's rotating all the time. Okay? So this is only a moment in time that you are standing here. This is rotating. If you're standing here or here, you are opposite of our current moon. You are opposite of it. So that is going to be low tide. Okay? These are the ones that we experience twice a day, every single day. Okay? So your high tides on here are the person standing on the gray points. Your low tides are the people standing on the orange points. Okay? Twice a day, every single day. If you're in line with the moon, you're getting high tide. If you are completely opposite of the moon, you're also getting high tide. But if you are at a 90-degree angle from the moon, then the moon's gravity is not pulling the tide towards you. So it is low tide. Okay, moving on to the bottom half of your page. There are two special kinds of tides that we have twice a month. So you're going to label the special type of tide on the top of the box. The first one is called spring tide. It has nothing to do with the spring season. They should have named it something different, if you ask me, but they didn't ask me. So spring tide. When does it happen? When Earth, Sun, and Moon are in a straight line. That means it's at a 180-degree angle. How often does this happen? It happens twice a month. During a new moon and a full moon. So what in the world is happening when we have a spring tide? What's happening is that we get the highest high tides and the lowest low tides of the whole month. Okay? That means that it's the greatest difference between high and low tide. This is because the sun and moon are working together. They're using the sun and the moon and the Earth's gravity all working together. Okay? So we are going to draw a couple of pictures. I'm going to draw a line to separate my two. We're going to draw a couple things here. We are going to draw that beach again with our speckles. And then we're going to draw high tide, super high, and low tide, super low, with an arrow between the two, and we're going to say greatest difference. Okay, but then we need to know what is happening in outer space. So I'm going to draw another sun right here. And then I'm going to draw a blue earth here. I'm going to draw the moon's orbit around the earth. Okay, and what did it tell us? What position is the moon supposed to be in to get a spring tide? It happens when the sun, earth, and moon are in a straight line. So sun and earth are here. So I also know that it happens at a new and a full moon. Remember we talked about new moon near the sun. So I'm going to draw my moon here and my moon here. See how they're in a line here? So these are when we have spring tides. I'm going to label these so that I remember new moon, full moon. That's a spring tide. I have the greatest difference between high tide and low tide, and it's happening when the sun, moon, and earth are in a straight line. Okay, So the other type of special tide that we have on the earth is called a neap tide. N-E-A-P. Neap tide. When does it happen? It happens when the sun, earth, and moon are at a right angle. That means they're at a 90-degree angle. That looks like this. In case you forgot from math. Okay. How often does this happen? It is also twice a month. But a neap tide occurs during the first quarter. And what else do you think? Third quarter. What happens? The sun and the moon cancel. C-A-N-C-E-L. Cancel each other out, causing there to be the least difference between high and low tides. So we are going to do our two pictures again, starting with the beach. I got my beach here, speckles for sand. Okay, but this time it's a neap tide. So my high tide is still high, but not nearly as high as it was over on this side. And my low tide is low, but not nearly as low as it was on the spring tide. So my difference here is the least difference between high and low tide. Okay, so I know what it looks like on the beach, and I'm going to draw what it looks like from outer space. So I have my sun, I'm going to do a blue earth, and then I'm going to do the orbit of the moon around the earth. And what did it say where our moon needs to be in order to get a neap tide? It needs to be at a right angle. So I have sun over here, earth is in the middle, my moons, I'm going to do them orange this time. My moons are going to be here, right angle, and here, right angle. Okay? And how do I remember which way this goes again? Sun in the belly, move to the right. So I know that it's going around the circle this way, which means that this would be the first quarter, and this would be third quarter.